As an international student living away from home for the first time in my life, I've encountered countless problems in my first year of university. The pains and frustrations of messing up my course selection, poor money management, and a non-existent social life due to my inability to fit in with the local culture are just a fraction of what I had to deal with in my first year at HKUST. So, in this multi-part, comprehensive series derived from my own personal experiences, I'll be sharing with you guys everything I wish I knew before coming to HKUST. Now, if you're new here, my name is James, and I graduated from an IB high school in Australia in 2022, receiving an IB score of 44 out of 45 and joined HKUST last year on a full tuition scholarship. UST has re-risen to the top 50 in the world and is known for its high academic pressure. So it only makes sense for the first part of the series to be about academics. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you guys everything about the academic component of HKUST, as well as a bunch of tips and tricks that I had gathered in my freshman year. And trust me when I say this, but I have never heard anyone mention the last tip, and you definitely do not want to miss it. All right, that's enough said, let's get into it. Compared to high school, earning a degree in university is a little bit more complex. Subjects, more commonly referred to as courses, grant students a set number of credits upon completion. To graduate, you'll not only need to fulfill a designated number of credits, but also complete a specific set of required courses tied to your major. And it's exactly this property of course selection which makes it that much more three-dimensional compared to high school, since you have a lot more flexibility as to when and how you want to take each course. The course selection process at UST follows this schedule: pre-enrollment, validation, enrollment, and add drop. Now, in most cases, you won't get to do anything during the pre-enrollment period, so realistically, it's just the last three phases that matter. Now, if you're an incoming student, this may all sound a bit cryptic and overwhelming, but basically how it works is you get some time to check what courses are available, you get to pick your courses, and finally you have a 2-week window at the start of each semester to kind of, change your mind on any of your decisions if need be. Chances are, if you're in your first year, then you won't really get to pick that many courses anyway, because most of them will be pre-enrolled for you. But for the courses that you do get some flexibility to pick between, I'd strongly suggest going online and looking up the suggested study pathway for your major, or at least your intended major, and taking the recommended courses from there. I've been asked this following question many times. On one hand, I have these courses that I am genuinely passionate about and have deep interest in, but on the other hand, a lot of other people have been telling me to take these courses, these easier courses, to kind of maximize my grades in the earlier years. So what should I do? Should I choose passion, or should I go for grading? Now, to combat this problem, I want to use one of my own personal examples. Back in high school, I was deciding between French and Chinese for my second language, and I was more interested in learning about French because I already knew how to speak Chinese, but I knew Chinese had better grading. So how did I make my decision? Well, let's take passion and grading and put it in a Venn diagram. Now, obviously, if any of the subjects are in the middle, the intersection, then it's a no-brainer. But in this case, it was a much harder decision to make. So this is where we introduce a third circle, talent. Or put simply, are you good at it? With the introduction of this third dimension, the decision becomes much more obvious, as I was able to just choose the subject with more overlap. And this model should be relatively simple for you to apply as well. All you need to do is just look at the diagram and see which courses have the most overlap. Again, you may run into some issues where a given number of courses all have 2 overlaps each and there's no clear winner. But this is where your personal preferences come in. Are you more inclined to sacrifice some things for better grading, or are you more driven by motivation and your sheer interest in a field? Now, keep in mind, this model may be useful, but it does lack the ability to represent magnitudes. For example, the extent of passion that I have for 2 separate courses, which both reside in the passion circle, may not be accurately compared. Coming into HKUST in my freshman year, I was very surprised by the grading system that they use here. Most courses at HKUST use a curved grading scale, meaning you're actually competing with your peers for good grades, and each grade has a set quota. Typically at UST, the A range is about 20%, meaning only the top 20% of students taking each course can actually walk away with an A grade, regardless of what the grade distribution actually looks like. At the end of each semester, your course's letter grades will then be converted to a number grade based on this conversion chart, and ultimately all put together to form a cumulative grade average, or CGA, based on how many credits each course is worth. Your overall CGA is super important because it can dictate whether you make it to your major of choice, join many competitions, scholarships, and obviously your future jobs and stuff. And the crazy thing about it is messing up one course can actually have quite a large impact on your CGA. For example, in my case, I was sitting at a 3.9 in my first semester with straight A's, and in my second semester I essentially improved in every single course, going from 1A plus to 3A pluses, but I still only walked away with a 3.88 because I had messed up one course and got a B. So if it's so important to do well in every course in university, it only makes sense for my next tip to be about how to study effectively. Now the next tip is sort of like a hack that I figured out myself, and I've never heard anyone say this before, but when you're studying, the best thing you can do is focus on your weaker subjects. Due to the nature of how your GPA is calculated, it's better to have all around medium to high scores rather than a bunch of very high scores and a bunch of low scores. Now this is because in each grade range, say in the A range or B range, the GPA gap between successive levels, say A minus to A or A to A plus, is only 0.3. Whereas the gap between different grade ranges, say A minus to B plus or B minus to C plus, is actually 0.4. So if I had limited time to work with, I would definitely first work especially hard on my weaker subjects or the subjects that I'm less comfortable with and try to push them to the next grade level before trying to maximize my scores in my stronger subjects. The unique thing about HKUST, which I would have never guessed in high school, is that going to lectures alone is not enough. And I don't mean it in a vague sense in that, oh, you need to go study more outside of class time to get good grades, blah, blah, blah. I mean the fact that a lot of my professors have literally told me that they cannot cover all of the content in class and you have to self-study outside of class. So if you don't go to the lectures, you might not even know that in the first place. But if you do go to the lectures, it's not enough because you need to study more yourself, and the professor would just not teach it in class. And this is why in university, self-study is essential. Like in high school, if you're a genius, you can probably get away with just going to classes. But in university, you have to go and self-study the other materials in order to maximize your grades. Throughout the past semester, I've consistently studied for about 3 to 4 hours a day outside of class time, which may not sound like a lot, but I found it to be a nice balance point for me to stay ahead of my content, whilst also having a balanced lifestyle overall. The method of study is totally up to you. I find self-study and doing practice exams more comfortable, but a lot of my friends have also found a lot of success doing group study sessions and the like. So ultimately, it's up to you to choose and decide what is most effective for you. Now, the next point is going to be about internships and exchanges and opportunities, etc., outside of just your regular academics at HKUST. Now, as for internships and exchange opportunities, I know that there are a lot here. You can go on the website and go look up the different types that you can do. Obviously, it's going to be harder for you to do them in year 1 compared to year 2 compared to year 3. But I think the best thing you can do is start early. Try to get an internship as early as you can so you can get more experience and also, fill out your resume a little bit more. Preferably, I guess year 2 would be a good time. Not that I have done any yet. If you're interested, you can check out a past video on my channel where I interviewed a HKUST alumni, and he talked a bunch about his internship experiences and exchange experiences. I'll link it down in the description. Now, I haven't actually done any internships or exchanges myself, but this is only my first summer break, so I'm taking it easy. If you're wondering why the curtain is pink, it's because I'm in Shanghai right now. I'm at my grandma's house visiting my family, not because this is my room or anything. Another thing I wanted to mention is that at HKUST, there are a bunch of startup competitions and business case competitions. Those are also very, very good experiences. I'd suggest doing those even earlier than you do an internship or exchanges because you'll learn a bunch of skills and meet a lot of new friends, so definitely give them a try. Okay, so lastly, I wanted to talk about the academic atmosphere of HKUST. Now, this isn't like a tip or anything like that, but I just wanted to share with you guys my perspective as a UST student as to how, stressful HKUST really is, because I know it has the reputation of having very high stress and pressure, and students here have no social life, they study for hours a day, blah, blah, blah. Sure, I can see where you're coming from. If you go to UST during peak hours And by that I mean during the entirety of exam block, no matter what time you go to the library, every single floor, every single seat, it's going to be occupied, right? Students are going to be studying there non-stop. If you view it as just solely competition, then you'll kind of be sucked into this loop of like endless competitiveness and negative emotion because everyone's, studying all the time and you don't really get a break. So I know this isn't a tip, but it just came out of nowhere. Basically, you should try to follow your own rhythm. This is the main thing about stress and tension. It's because people try to follow and copy other people's rhythms. Like I said, if you go to the library, you see a lot of people studying, but it's just a mirage because you see people studying there non-stop for hours and hours, but realistically, the same seat, every hour, a new person could be there. But to you, an outsider, it seems as if that one student has been there for 12 hours. And I'm not denying the fact that there are students who do study for 12 hours non-stop. But the environment of the library makes it seem as if you are falling behind everyone. But realistically, the mindset that you should have is you shouldn't care about how other people are studying. You should just follow your own rhythm and do what works for you, because ultimately, when you're happy, when you're relaxed, since you've made it to UST in the first place, you definitely have the potential to, be the best version of yourself and outclass a lot of your competitors. But yeah, so to answer the question of how stressful HKUST is, well, it all depends on how you view it. Transform this unknown territory into a training ground to explore your passion and hone your skills. The time pressure into a compass, which guides the way you spend your free time, and the so-called stress and tension into excitement and motivation. Hello. Whew, that was a mouthful and totally wasn't scripted, but I just wanted to say that just to make it a bit more motivational.
What are the students like?
Undermotivated. Could you just stop fidgeting?
I know I've said a bunch of stuff, but if there's one thing that you're going to take away from this video, it is to enjoy every second of the university journey. It's all going to be very, very exciting. Alright, so if you've made it all the way to this point in the video, thank you very much for watching. Now, if you're interested, check out this video. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but check out this video right here. It's going to be the next part of this series. And it's going to be on, I don't actually know what I'm going to be talking about yet, but just go check it out. I hope to see you soon. See ya!